Thank you, Ariel. So this is a live event. We will be on the air. This means if you have any serious business to do, the doors are closed now. Nobody And we should be going. You are listening to WSLR LP 96.5 FM in Sarasota and WBPV LP 100.1 FM in Bradenton. Live from the stage of the Fogartyville Community Center, welcome to WSLR's News First Candidate Forum in this 2026 election cycle. I am WSLR News Director Johannes, Werner, and I am moderating this panel together with Carrie Seidman, host of Talk of the Town on WSLR. Please welcome the two candidates. Actually, there are three candidates, but only two of them were able to make it for District 1 of the Sarasota School Board. They are Teresa DeWitt, Jimmy Glover, and Heidi Brandt. Please give them a round of applause. District 1 is a high-profile affair. This is the seat currently held by Bridget Ziegler, the co-founder of Moms for Liberty, who needs no introduction. It was not too long ago that New York Times and Washington Post correspondents popped up at Sarasota school board meetings, and whoever succeeds Bridget Ziegler will get quite a bit of attention. 3 candidates have filed so far, and I'm happy to have 2 of them here. Unfortunately, Teresa DeWitt canceled 2 hours ago via text citing health reasons. We want to make sure each of the candidates feels welcome here at this community center and that their supporters feel welcome too. So please refrain from heckling, booing, or any other disruptions. Your applause is very welcome though. This is the time to ask questions and to closely listen to the candidates' answers. Speaking of questions, WSLR News intern reporter Ed James III has collected audience questions, and we will read some of them. If you have any questions and hadn't had any time to write them down, let Ed know. He is in the audience, and if you raise your arm, he will come and pick it up. The rules: each candidate gets 2 minutes for their statements and answers to questions. My colleague Susan Logiacono, sitting here below me at the stage, is the enforcer and timekeeper. Every time a candidate begins to speak, she sets the countdown clock, which is visible for the panelists here on stage to your lower left. You will hear the clock ticking the last 15 seconds and a gong when your time is up. Without further ado, here are our introductions of the candidates. Carrie, will you do the honors?
Absolutely. Our first candidate to my right is Heidi Brandt. Heidi lives full-time in Sarasota on Lido Key with her husband Jerry Wells and daughter Mia, who's in 3rd grade going into 4th grade in our Sarasota County school system. Heidi's father was a life science and biology teacher and then a high school principal, and her mother was a high school math teacher. She graduated from college with a degree in nutrition and exercise physiology and moved to New York City, where she met her husband. His family moved to Sarasota in the late 1980s, and she's been coming to Sarasota for the past 22 years and made it her home permanently 13 years ago. Heidi has served on her neighborhood Lido Beach Residents Association Board. She's currently the PTO president at Southside Elementary School, and she will be the incoming president of the Southside School Foundation for the Arts next year. She supports and volunteers for numerous organizations, including Holiday House SRQ, Teen Court, Walking for Hunger, Reading Partners, and her church VBS program. Please welcome Heidi Brandt. Our next candidate who's with us today is Jimmy Glover. Jimmy's a Sarasota County community leader, public education advocate, and father of 4 children who attend Sarasota County Public Schools. He brings more than 30 years of leadership experience from United Airlines, where he worked in customer service, operations, and crisis management roles. Over the past decade in Sarasota, he served as president of the board for Star Lab, a K-3 school, and vice chair of the City of Sarasota's Parks, Recreation, and Environmental Protection Advisory Board. He's also a board member of the Betty J. Johnson North Sarasota Library and an active volunteer with the Sarasota African American Cultural Coalition. As a mentor for Unidos Now and Career Spring, he has worked with many first-generation college-bound students. Jimmy has long been active in supporting students, families, and public education in the Sarasota community. His campaign is focused on strong public schools, support for teachers, student safety, parental engagement, and leadership that listens. Please welcome Jimmy Glover. And as Johannes mentioned, Teresa DeWitt called in sick this afternoon, but we felt it would be fair to read her bio also, so that if you have an interest in her candidacy, you can look up her website and learn more. Teresa DeWitt is a licensed professional counselor of 23 years, focused on the systemic evaluation and integration of families and community. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Business Management and Business Law from the University of Maryland at College Park. She served as the Independent Living Coordinator for the Department of Human Services for the foster care program in 6 counties in Maryland and Virginia. She also served as an art teacher for a program for juvenile males who were incarcerated. She obtained a master's degree in community counseling and marriage and family therapy from John Brown University in Arkansas. Before moving into private practice for 7 years in Arkansas, she founded and managed multiple licensed preschools of more than 250 students. She also held supervisory roles in Vista Health Psychiatric Hospital in Northwest Arkansas. Teresa and her family moved to Florida 8 years ago to raise her 9-year-old twins. Her children attended Southside Elementary, where Teresa participated in the SAC committee and served on the superintendent committee. She participated in the Sarasota chapter of Moms for Liberty, and she conducted workshops for school board members and legislators at the Conservative Leadership Institute in Sarasota. She also conducted community research for the Sarasota School Board. Teresa and her family attend Bayside Church, where she volunteers as a teacher for 2nd and 3rd grade girls. And we all wish Teresa a swift recovery from her health issues.
Thank you for that, Carrie. We now give each candidate 2 minutes for their opening statement, and we begin with Heidi Brandt.
Thank you. Yes, well, you covered much of it in that lovely introduction. Thank you for reading that. I have been here for 13 years, and I won't go into all the other details to reiterate, but I just dove right into the public schools. My husband and I raised 3 children in New York City, and they went to private school because we couldn't use the public schools there. We came to Sarasota, and I was delightfully surprised at how amazing our public schools are. I have given the past 4 years of my life at my daughter's school and at other schools also. I volunteer for Holiday House SRQ, which goes into Title I schools, and so I do a lot of volunteer work there also. But working in the schools, I know the teachers, I know the curriculum, I talk to the parents every single day. I am boots on the ground in the school, and I know what to bring to the school board. We need to listen to our teachers, we need to listen to our families. I will be a strong advocate for every single parent, every single community member, because I know what it takes to make a great school. And we need someone like me on the school board, because we need all of our schools to be great and all of our children to be able to succeed. One of the most things that I'm proud of is reading partners. I am a reading partner at Southside Elementary School, and where I think we struggle the most here is our early literacy. We need to work with those children to bring them up to grade level reading. After third grade, they are not just learning to read anymore, they are reading to learn. And what the program that I'm a part of does is it pairs parents, volunteers, grandparents, anyone with children that are struggling. I would love to see that in every school. I know Sky Ranch and some other schools have that. So when I get on the school board, early literacy will be a big, big priority of mine. Every child, every day. Also, we will quickly go into workforce training. I have a neighbor who is very active in Polytech and in the college, and I want to see more workforce training programs, more nursing programs, more programs for our students who might not go into a higher education. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Heidi. We will continue with Teresa DeWitt, who sent us this via text message. Here's what she wrote. Per my doctor's visit today, I have bronchitis and have been instructed, due to the contagious nature and in an abundance of caution for other school board candidates and audience members, to restrict official appearances for the next 2 days. I am grateful for the commitment of all candidates to step up and serve and share their vision on behalf of our students and families. In my opinion, the school board election is one of the most important elections because it will decide the direction of our district. The direction of our district will go in terms of recovery and rebuilding from low enrollment and financial instability. The course correction is a pivotal moment we find ourselves in. Literacy scores are on the rise, and we must continue to strive for higher third grade levels. I'm honored to be participating in these goals in this election cycle. That was Teresa DeWitt's statement. And now, Jimmy Glover.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. I'm going to go a little bit of a different route here. I'm going to tell you all why I decided to run for school board. It came because I was frustrated as a parent. I saw that my current district person didn't have the same values that I had. I thought there was a lack of leadership and a lack of compassion when I looked on the school board. As I've been going around in the campaigning, what I've seen and what people have told me is that they don't feel like they're being listened to, and they don't feel that there's a lack of trust in the community right now. The thing that really moved me the most was when I went to a school board meeting a few months ago and the ICE resolution came up. And a lot of you were probably in that meeting when it came up. And it deeply disturbed me because the person who brought up that ICE resolution was Bridget Ziegler. And the people who were most affected by that ICE resolution were people in her district. Where I live in District 1 is a heavily Hispanic population. And I've never seen fear like that ever in this community. And in that moment, I went to that school board meeting and I listened to a bunch of kids get up and advocate for themselves in that meeting. And in that moment, I told myself, when I'm on that school board, I never, ever want those kids to show that type of fear. And I want them to be able to look up on that school board and know that there's somebody there to support them, someone who's going to be there for them. That's why I'm running for school board, because I never want to see that fear in kids again, ever in the school board.
20 seconds.
All right. Thank you. Let's begin with questions. Carrie, why don't you ask the first one?
The highest profile member of the school board is Bridget Ziegler, and you are running for the seat she currently holds. How do you relate to Mrs. Ziegler's policies and practices on the board that she currently chairs? Jimmy?
As I just said, I don't relate to any policies that she advocates. That's my main reason for running. What she's done, it shows a lack of leadership and a lack of compassion. As a result of her leadership style, we have been divided so much in this community, and it's not right. We come together for everything here in Sarasota, be it the arts, be it for education. But for the last 10 years that she's been on the board, it's been nothing but disruption. It's been nothing but culture wars. My goal when I'm on that school board is to stop all that culture war, make sure that we have a leader who listens, I need to regain the trust of the community. Right now, there's a lack of trust in this community when it comes to the school board. And until we regain that trust, we will not be able to go forward as a community, as a school board. My goal is to make Sarasota a destination district. What I mean by that is I want families to come to Sarasota. When they look at Sarasota, not only do we have the beaches, but I want them to see that we have amazing schools, amazing teachers, amazing programs, not this dysfunction that we're dealing with right now. We have to move forward. In order to do that, first, you have to have a leader who listens, and you have to have a leader who the people trust. That's what I'm bringing to the Sarasota County School Board. That's why I don't believe in anything that Bridget Ziegler has done.
Thank you. Heidi?
Yeah. Well, one might think, because we're both women in a similar party, that we have things in common, but I assure you I am nothing like Miss Bridget Ziegler. When I'm on the school board, I will be 1 out of 5 people. 1. And my voice will be what I feel is right. Not from anyone else, but, and I don't just say that from me. I will reach out to parents. I will reach out to teachers. Before I make a decision, I will make sure that it's what I feel in my heart, but it's also what the community wants. When the ICE resolution came down, I reached out to Tim Enos immediately because I value his opinion as a security. And I said, why? What is this? Does it change anything? And he said, no. He said, absolutely not. This resolution changes nothing. We have to work with law enforcement. If we get an order from the judge, we have to, or we're in contempt of court. So this was, I would never have voted for the ICE resolution, no. The other one that was recent, the attendance policy or the protesting in school, that made me fear for the teachers. I would have reached out to the teachers before voting and said, how do you feel about this? If you have to make a decision, whether this is a peaceful protest or not, or are children disturbing, how do you feel about making that decision? I feel like that it put teachers in a very bad position to try to make that decision. So when I'm on the school board, I am me. I am 1 of 5 people. But I am also you. I will reach out and ask questions to teachers, to parents, to other administrators, how I could best serve them and where my vote could go in this. Staying true to my heart and believing what's best for the community, but also going to the people who count the most, and that's our families and our teachers and our students when making those decisions. That's how I differ. Thank you.
Thank you. Here's the next question. Political parties and school board campaigns. 2 of you have been endorsed by the local chapters of one of the 2 big political parties. Jimmy Glover by the Sarasota Democrats, Heidi Brandt by the Republicans. School board races are not partisan. Your thoughts?
Correct. School board should not be partisan. When you are up on that dais and you are making decisions, your decisions should be nonpartisan. But that doesn't mean that we are not people who are part of a political party. That is not going to go away. I'm not going to go change my voting status because I'm running for school board. I am who I am, and that is the political party that I'm affiliated with, and that's out, and that's supported me. But when I'm on that school board, I am making a decision for each one of you. No matter if you're a Democrat, Independent, Republican, Green Party, Tea Party, whoever you are, I am making a decision for you, not for a political party. I will not be bought or sold by a political party. I will reach out and make sure that I'm doing what's right for our community as a whole. Because our community, like it or not, is made up of a variety of people, a variety of parties. As I'm the president of the PTO at school, I know my board, I know exactly that we are probably 50-50. But somehow we sit down and we look each other in the eye and we make decisions for our families. We make decisions for our teachers and our students because politics do not even come into our conversations. That is not, it should not be on a school board either, and I will not bring it there. So yes, I am endorsed by a political party. And I appreciate the endorsement because that party has stood beside me, but I will not be making decisions based on that when I'm on the school board.
Thank you.
All right, just for clarity, I have not been endorsed by the Democratic Party. I've been endorsed by the Sarasota Veterans for Common Sense, and I've also been endorsed by the NEA retired teachers. So those are the only 2 endorsements that I know of who have endorsed me. But yeah, it's a nonpartisan position, and I plan on working for everybody in Sarasota County. I believe that we just need to be student-focused and student-centered and make sure what's best for the teachers, the students, and the parents. I will look at every decision that I make in that framework is what is best for the students, what's best for the teachers, and what's best for the parents, and make sure that I'm being transparent. And when I don't know an answer to something, I will make sure I will go find out that answer to make sure that we are doing the best for our citizens here in Sarasota County.
Thank you.
Next question. Student enrollment is shrinking. What do you believe is causing it, and what are the best ways for public schools to respond to the declining enrollment? And I think we're going with Jimmy first.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, there are a couple reasons for student enrollment. One is people are having less babies. That's one thing. If you want to get more specific to Sarasota County, student enrollment here is declining because affordability. A lot of families can't afford housing here in Sarasota, so many are leaving to less expensive places to live. The other issue as far as enrollment is concerned, and when you talk about public education, is the vouchers, which people like to bring up as one of the reasons, one of the main causes for this decline in enrollment when it comes to public education. What I believe is that what we need to do is we need to look at the voucher system in a way. When it was first brought up, the vouchers were supposed to be used for underserved communities. What ended up happening is that a few years back, they took the income restriction off of the vouchers. As a result, a lot of people who are financially able to afford private schools started using the vouchers. For example, about 70% of voucher usage right now is being used by families who already had their children in private schools and had no desire to have their kids in a public school. So that's where we start seeing the fall off. I believe that there is a world in which the voucher system and the public education system can work, but I believe that you need to, one, put the income restriction on there. I think there needs to be transparency and accountability when it comes to that funding for the voucher system. Right now, if your child wants to go to a private school, then turns around the next day and wants to go to a public school, that funding leaves, but the amount of time that it takes for that funding to get back to the public schools is there's no time on that. We don't even know what the time limit is. So we really need to correct the system, and that way we won't see that.
You can finish the sentence you're on, even when they call
No
time.
problem.
You're allowed to finish the sentence. Heidi.
It's kind of funny because a lot of people say, oh, she's so nice, she's so quiet, is she ever gonna... I am ultra competitive and I am a fighter. I beat my husband in a game of basketball. That's why we're married right now, because I am super competitive. And I do not want one person to leave our schools. And I do not want them to leave because we have the best schools. I think we're doing a disservice right now by not communicating our schools as good as we could. I would love to see a gigantic marketing campaign to keep our students. Part of my platform is stay. We need to keep people to stay in the schools. Safety, teachers, academics, athletics, arts, and you, the community. We need to do a giant campaign to keep people to stay. We have so many amazing programs in our schools. We have a new Gulf Coast Academy for middle school. We're bringing back K-8s, and not back, but bringing K-8s to wonderful community schools that will hopefully retain middle school students. We are being inventive, we are being forward-thinking, but not many people know about that. I mean, I'm out door knocking, and you would believe how many people, you all are here because you're informed, and you want to be informed. That's not the norm. So many people don't know what's going on. We need to educate them. We need to fight for our students. We need to communicate and market to them. We have amazing schools here. We have great nursing programs. Kids can graduate with a 2-year degree. I mean, we just need to retain those students and keep them here. I know our school board right now is dysfunctional, and all you see is headlines, and it scares people, and they're running for the hills. They're grabbing the vouchers, and I agree, the vouchers are broken. I love the concept behind vouchers. I really think that they were meant to be used in a good way, but they're not being tracked, because I love choice, and I think we all should have a choice for our children, what fits them best. So yeah, I'm in it to fight. I'm in it to keep our students and our families, and I'm gonna let them know how great our public schools are, and we're gonna keep them to stay with us.
Thank you. Next question. The district has been forced to cut teaching jobs, 86 at the last accounting, according to a recent WSF report today, actually. How has the budget been handled? How would you go about dealing with the budget cuts that come with this declining enrollment? Heidi goes first.
Well, I just finished, much smaller than a $1.5 to $1.7 billion budget. Our PTO just finished our budget for next year. And it's all, to me, about priorities. That we do not have a money problem. We don't have an income problem. We have a spending and accountability problem. Why are we spending so much money over here when our resources are better suited over there? Our kids aren't just a spreadsheet. They matter. What's best for their education matters. And I think we're just looking at the budget just with giant numbers and look at all this money we get to spend. We need to get in there and go line by line and prioritize where we are spending our money. Teachers come at the very, very, very top for me. I am with those teachers every single day. I know what they do. It is an unbelievably challenging job. And I want to make sure that our teachers are paid what they need. I also think we could use a couple extra teachers. We should not be firing teachers. Our teachers are playing multiple roles. They're security guards at our gates in the morning. They're running to get to their class. They're doing, checkout and after-school programs. We need more staff, more teachers and more help. And I think we can find it in our budget. I can't believe with a $1.5, $1.7 billion budget that we can't find it to retain and keep high-quality teachers.
Thank you. Jimmy, same question.
Yep, I believe that we definitely need to go, and recently the school board just did an audit of the entire budget. I believe that we need to go through that budget line by line and see where we can make changes or make cuts. Right now, there are some unexpected expenses when you talk about gas prices as far as school buses. That's something that people don't talk about, but that was an unexpected expense with what's going on right now in the world. So we need to continue to make sure that we're flexible enough so that if some costs rise in one area, that we're going to need to be able to maybe take away from another area so that, one, we're not going to be forced to get rid of teachers. That's the last thing that we need to do, because they are so important. Whenever I see a teacher, it might be disrespectful for anybody who's in the military in the room, but I always tell them, thank you for your service, because those teachers spend more time with our kids than we do at times. And then they have to go home and then go ahead and parent their children. So I don't want to see any teachers lose their job at all. Now, we just need to be stewards of this big budget that we have. We need to make sure that we are also telling our lobbyists who go to our state representatives that, hey, you need to fund our schools to the proper level. At this point right now in Florida, our public education funding is below the national average. If we just came up to the national average, we wouldn't have some of these issues that we're having as far as budgeting. We need to seriously take a look at that stuff. We need to lobby our state representatives. We need to lobby our governor. We need to let them know that we need the money. Our governor talks about us having this big surplus that we have here, but yet this budget crisis that we have, this didn't happen overnight. This came as a result of bad planning and people wanting to have a different agenda as far as public schools. So what we need to do is put their feet to the fire and let them know we want our money back.
The state voucher program gives around $8,000 of state funding to each and every student in private and homeschooling settings. You have already mentioned, both of you, the state voucher program, but I would like to give you a chance to expand more on this. What are your thoughts about this program? Is it broken? And if so, how can it be fixed? Let's start with Jimmy Glover.
Right. So yes, is the voucher program broken? That's yes. I explained a couple ways that it's broken. The first is when they took the income restriction off of the voucher program. That's when we saw this explosion of money leaving our public schools. Secondly, the accountability. They don't know once the money leaves, or once a child leaves that private school and comes back to the public school, the amount of time it takes for that money to come back in the public school system is unaccounted for. We need to be able to have accountability for it. We need to make sure that the computer system is upgraded so that we can actually see there's some transparency as to who's receiving these funds and where they're going. Right now, there's no transparency. Right now, there's this pool of money that's just sitting there that nobody's using, that we could definitely use right now in our school system. All school systems could be using that money right now. Now, I know a lot of people, we have a lot of people who are very pro-choice and parental choice. And it's not an either or thing. I believe we live in a world in which the schools who accept vouchers and public education can coexist. It coexisted before the income restriction was there. I'm an example of this. My school that I'm a board president of at Star Lab, we accept the vouchers, but know what we do? We don't take any money on top of the vouchers. What happens is a lot of these private schools, they'll take the vouchers and then charge an extra $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $8,000 on top of the voucher. That's not what the voucher system was used for. It was used for underserved communities who had no other choice when the public school let them down. It gave them an opportunity to be successful. So I believe there is a world in which we could coexist with the voucher system. I just think there just needs to be a few fixes, and we can make that happen.
Yeah, again, like you said, a huge advocate for choice. We have amazing public schools, and each child is different. I'm a Booker, the VPA program, my friends that go there. We have the IB program, the ACE program. We have Polytech. We have such great opportunities, and I love that our parents can choose that. But sometimes that choice is a private school, and we have to give the vouchers to those parents who need to make that choice. I went to a Tiger Bay forum, and they admitted the system is antiquated. We cannot be tracking all these students here like a spaghetti model. We need to have a system in place to track students. I think that will account for a lot of the money that's not being accounted for. As far as the income, I mean, and also I have some of these schools, it used to be $6,000 was the voucher, right? And now it's $8,000. And every school keeps raising their tuition. So everything needs to be reworked because it has to be in place. The vouchers work when they're properly implemented. And I'm a fan of them because, like you said, low-income families, people need these because they might not have the fit in a public school. So I would work with state representatives, I would work with lobbyists to get this voucher system straightened out because it's a great idea in theory, it's just been mismanaged. So I would support that.
Thank you. Next question. You have both said that choice is a good thing, and I think most people would agree with you on that. But are public schools competing on a level playing ground with private schools, for-profit charter schools, and home schools? And if not, what are some of those inequities and what might be done about that? I think we're going to start with Mr. Glover.
Oh, is that me again?
No, I'm sorry, with Heidi Brandt.
Oh, with Heidi, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought she just...
No, that's right. Some of the inequities. So the public schools, we have to take so many tests. We are beholden to the PM3s, the PM1, 2, and 3s for testing. That gives us a grade level, that gives us our reporting, that gives us money. So a charter school might not necessarily have to go by those standards, but they still fall underneath our umbrella. We have great charter schools. We have some charter schools that aren't doing so great. So the issue that I see with that is that we don't have as much control over the education and the testing. I still believe that choice is extremely important. I know at our school this year, and it goes cyclical too. This year, 90% of the kids in 5th grade are going to SSAS, just in my neighborhood where they're going. Sometimes it's Pineview, sometimes it's Sarasota Middle School, sometimes it's Brookside. So we always just have to stay on top of our schools and making sure that the testing is fair, that the programs are similar, even though we can't sometimes. I don't know if does that make sense? It's not a great answer, but. Sorry.
Thank you. Jimmy?
Yeah, I believe that we need to level the playing field. It's not fair. So you're going to tell me you want to utilize that $8,000 voucher, but you don't want to play by the same rules. That's not fair at all. All we ask for in the public schools is a level playing field. That's what the superintendent asked. The superintendent said that we're not afraid of competition. We just want to make sure that everybody's playing by the rules. When you look at the books, the rules, and the regulations, the pages, there's over like 1,200 pages in state regulations for public schools. And then you have another page for like 20 pages for charter schools. And then when you get down to the private schools, it's only about 4 pages long. That's not fair. That's not fair at all. If you will level the playing field, I think a lot of people, and I think the superintendent has said this himself, I have no problem competing because we feel like with the public schools, we have the best product when the playing field is leveled. So I think we need to do a better job of doing that. I believe that right now, we cannot let them diminish public education. Right now, education right now is dying. Public education is dying. And when you look at the level of education that some of the children are receiving, they're the ones who are going to be suffering for this. And we can't have that. So as a public education advocate, I would definitely advocate for a level playing field, making sure that if we have regulations that we have to follow, that they have regulations that they have to follow as well. And that's just simple, and that's fair.
Thank you. All right, I'm venturing into a little bit of editorializing here. Vocational education sucks in the United States in comparison to most other industrialized nations. Do you agree or disagree with that assessment? And do you have any thoughts about vocational education in the Sarasota School District or any ideas for improvement? Let's begin with Jimmy.
All right. So now my 4 kids, they've gone to college or will be going to college. And I realize that my situation isn't the same as all other families. There are some children who are good with their hands and therefore maybe want to go and get involved with the trades. And that's not an issue either because there's a lack of people who are in the trades now. I would be all for any program that will help children be the best that they are, be it trade school, be it if they want to go to the military. Whatever that is, I feel that we need to do whatever we can to connect our children to those trades. I would be all for making sure that we're having career fairs, mentorships, internships. I believe what we really need to do, the key word in this is connection. We need to be able to connect our children so that they are able to succeed. You know, we have a number of people, this is what I say about Sarasota. Our community is willing to help. We have so many different programs that we haven't even tapped into. There are a number of different programs at the school board that allows children to be able to participate in the trades. But I think what we have to do, once again, is we have to do a better job of marketing those programs. I think we need to identify those children in 9th grade. When they come to school, we can start doing it. You want to learn what you want to do, what you don't want to do. I mean, a lot of us go into school saying that we want to be a doctor or a lawyer, but you know what? I know when I was growing up, there was a shop class, and what you could do, those children, they would go into shop, and the children who sometimes got labeled behavioral problems, they would go into that shop class, and they'd start working on a car or start working with wood, and it would be amazing the transformation you see in them. Because you know what? They had something to come to school for. They had something to look forward to. We have to provide that opportunity for all of our children, whether or not they're going to college, whether or not they're going to trade school, whether the military, or if they're just going into the workforce. We could do that for all children.
Right. So I love this question, and just to add on to the last one, we can't control the private schools, but what we can do is help our public schools thrive. And so with this question, Polytech is such a fabulous school for our children who want to go into workforce training, but there is a barrier to entry, 2.0 grade point average. Now, I wouldn't suggest bringing that down, but there has to be certain circumstances where a child, would it be wonderful in this school to let the teachers advocate for that position. And going on top of that, I was meeting with a representative from the Sarasota Technical College, and he was telling me about bringing more programs into the other high schools, Venice High School, Northport High School. They're bringing nursing programs into Northport High School. So maybe what we can do is we can bring some of these more programs, electrical programs, some plumbing, HVAC, into our schools. So not just the students at Polytech who are getting that grade and have the opportunity, but all of our students who would like to see that happen can get it in Northport and Venice, at Sarasota High School, at Riverview. So I think our technical careers, workforce training is very important. And because we do have control over our schools, we need to make them better by bringing these opportunities to our schools. It's been suggested to lower the grade point average. I don't know what that would do. It may be certain circumstances, but for sure, expanding these workforce training programs, nursing programs into our high schools would reach a whole lot more children that could be beneficial. I was looking at my daughter back there. We went to see Legally Blonde, and now she wants to be a lawyer because she thinks all lawyers wear pink, and it's really cute. But I love workforce training in the high schools, bringing more opportunities directly to our students. That's something that we can control.
Thank you. Next question. Florida's community partnership schools is a concept that tries to bring entire families to schools by turning them into hubs for social, educational, and healthcare programs and services. The Sarasota School District has not adopted the community partnership schools model. I thought actually that they had, one school had, but perhaps not. Anyway, what are your thoughts on making a school work in partnership with community businesses and healthcare associations and making it a hub for entire families? That's the community partnership school model. Heidi?
I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about the community partnership model. I think having a partnership with different organizations in the community is essential for our schools to thrive. Working with the Education Foundation, Arts Foundations, we can thrive at doing that. But the health, I don't know, I will have to say I don't know much about bringing that model into our schools. I do know that we would not survive without the help of our business partners, our community leaders. Like I mentioned before, Holiday House, SRQ, when a call comes, they fit shoes. We just had a call for Gosho Elementary School. You wouldn't believe the children that show up to school without shoes. They call Holiday House SRQ, they raise some money, they get donations, they bring shoes out. I know for our school, same thing happened. We have a community rich in wanting to give back, and we have partnerships all over the place. So if we're talking about bringing in community partnerships, making it more community-centered out to the schools, yes. As far as health resources, I also love 40 Carats. I love what they do with the schools. They reach out to different, organizations, and they provide mental health care. I think we can be a hub and partner with places. I don't know if I feel about bringing them into the schools, but I definitely feel like we can be a hub and have those partnerships and those resources to share with our families who need them, whether it be mental health care or food, clothes, anything like that. I love our business partners, and that's the kind of the model I would like to see. Have everyone here, but we can bring them to the different organizations.
Thank you. Jimmy?
I'd definitely be in favor of Florida community partnership schools. This is really interesting because it just shows out-the-box thinking. A lot of families in our underserved communities, for example, their health care or their urgent care is a school nurse. So what happens is whenever they're sick, that child goes to the school nurse. Now, if we have community partnerships where you're saying you have some sort of health care or health clinic within that school, or all the services that they need within that school, that will work out for the families. What we have right now as a problem is that we cannot connect our students. We cannot connect with the parents. We need more parent engagement. So the more that the parents feel comfortable with coming to school and performing those services, if we can bring those services to the families, now we're going to have a better family situation for everybody. It goes for nursing. It goes for food services. It goes for clothing. There's a lot of services that we don't know about that, because these parents trust the schools, they will go to. They won't go to a number of these different organizations because they don't trust them. However, they trust the schools, so they know that when they send their kid to school, their child is going to be safe. And when that child has an issue at school and he goes to the nurse, that nurse is going to take care of him. Now, if we can expand that out with this community partnership, where now we have the families coming in and doing that, now we're providing for the whole family and the whole child, and that's what we should be doing, and that's what we should be accomplishing. It's just more out-of-the-box thinking. We can no longer think of the old ways of doing things. This is one of the ways that we retain families. This is a way of turning Sarasota into a destination district. Nobody else is doing this. Let's do it.
Thank you. We're now moving into audience questions. Your questions. Why don't you get started, Carrie?
Okay. I'm just going to put in a plug for community partnership schools because I have seen it done. It's amazing. They embrace whole families. They have educational classes for parents. They have health clinic. It's all within the schools. And if you're not familiar with them, it's a great program. So check it out. All right, we have great questions from our audience too, and the first one that I'd like to ask is, how many school board meetings have you attended or watched in the last year?
I've been to nearly all of them, and if I wasn't there in person, I've watched it.
Yeah, I've either watched or attended all of them.
All right. That was a redundant answer by both. Next question. As a former high school economics teacher, I taught my students about taxes. They learned about the purpose of taxes. What do you believe is the purpose of taxes? We'll give you a few seconds to think. Silence is golden. That's all right.
You going? Want me to go? All right. All right. So for me, the purpose of taxes and why we pay our taxes so that we have a police force. We pay our taxes so we have a fire department. We pay our taxes so we have different services that allow us to lead a very comfortable life. We pay our taxes so that we have a robust school system, which we aim to have here in Sarasota County. I know a lot of folks, this tax issue has come up, and maybe this question is centered around the tax that we pay that our tax collector recently tried to take away from us. I believe that here in Sarasota County, we believe in education, so we will charge ourselves an extra tax because we believe in public education. Because we believe for the greater good of people. We believe that we all deserve these services that we pay for. We cannot each be on an island of ourselves and then each of us have a police force and each of us have a fire department. It's just for the better good of all the citizens of the county. That's why I believe we all pay taxes.
It's one of the two things that we're guaranteed, right? Death and paying our taxes. Yeah, I agree. Taxes, teachers, schools, firefighters, waste, recycling, everything, our community, our city employees, our county employees. It's what keeps us going. I know we don't like to pay them, but it's what makes us the United States of America. We pay our taxes, and hopefully those in charge are responsible with the taxes that we pay, which is why you want a school board member up there who will be responsible with your tax dollars. You might not have a child in the public schools, but you're still paying tax dollars. Your money matters, and how we spend it matters. So taxes go to so many things that just you don't even think about. You know, our lights go on, everything. We pay taxes as good stewards, citizens of the United States, and I will be a good steward of your tax dollars on the school board.
Thank you. Since we're on the issue of taxes, I'm going to detour here for a minute and ask each of your opinion about the recent kerfuffle about the tax collector charging the schools for collection of taxes, and it has, I guess, been resolved, at least for the time being. The county commission has agreed to pay it as they have for the past 20-some years. But tell me your position on what happened there, and who do you think should there be a charge at all for the collection of those taxes?
I was shocked and upset at this, and not just because of the money that was being diverted from the public schools, money that we desperately can use, but I was mad as a voter. I didn't vote for that. I voted, and you all voted, to keep that money in our public schools. So the fact that it was twisted and worded differently and kind of, I don't know, tricked the county commissioners, I'm so grateful that they rescinded the vote. I'm so grateful that they put that money back into their schools. And I'm so grateful that our voices were heard, and that the vote that we had to keep the money for the schools is now staying the way it should be.
Thank you. Jimmy?
Yeah. When that happened, I was equally upset about them all of a sudden taking that tax money that they've never done before. What upset me the most was that they tried to kind of just take it away kind of sneakily. And you know what? Had the voters of Sarasota known that when they were going to add that tax to themselves, if in the fine print or anywhere it said, hey, you know, when we do take that money, a portion of this is going to go to the tax collector to do that, then maybe, you know, we would have negotiated something differently. Maybe we would have voted no, because we wanted all the money to go to the schools. Having said that, when the commissioners rescinded that, I told one of the commissioners when we were at Tiger Bay down in Venice, I said, y'all doing that really made me hopeful. I was really hopeful, because I was like, wow, they actually really do believe in public education. I said, it takes a lot to admit that you made a mistake. And I told that to him to his face. I said, it takes a lot. You guys realize that you made a mistake, and then you all decided to rescind that. You decided to reverse your call and do that. That never happens. So that left me very hopeful that here in Sarasota, that there are people who still care about public education.
Thank you. We have time for a 1-minute answer on the last audience question here. Measles are making the rounds. Presently, a child entering a Sarasota school must have been vaccinated against diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, polio, MMR, which covers measles, mumps, and rubella. Parents may opt out from medical or religious reasons. The legislature would add for conscience. Would you support that? Would you loosen vaccine requirements? Would you do away with them? 1 minute for each.
I believe that healthcare is a personal choice. But I have listened to my pediatrician all along because she knows best. And my beliefs, I hired a pediatrician to watch over my child. I don't go to a lawyer to prescribe vaccines. I would not change the vaccine right now. I think that they're fine. I don't know why we would change them. I personally vaccinate my child because I listen to my pediatrician. But I think healthcare is a choice. I think it's a parental choice. I think it's a family choice. And I don't think we need any more or any less restrictions on vaccines right now.
I believe that right now we have to look at the vaccines and it not becoming a public health issue. I think sometimes, one, it's state law. So we have to, first and foremost, as school board members, we have to follow whatever the state brings down. So whatever my public opinion or whatever my opinion is on that, at the end of the day, I have to follow state law, because when you don't follow state law here in Florida, then they try to remove you from your position. So first and foremost, as a school board member, I will follow whatever the state law is. Once again, if parents, based upon state law, make those decisions, there are avenues for them to opt out of taking vaccines. All I'm concerned about is the public health of our citizens and our students and our teachers.
Unfortunately, our hour is coming to a close. We're running out of time. The candidates will linger though, so you can ask them all your questions in person after this. So we are moving to closing statements, 2 minutes each per candidate, and we will begin with Jimmy Glover.
Thank you so much. I just want to thank everyone for attending tonight. It's been amazing. It's great to see that all of you are out here care about public education, and that brings joy to my heart. I really believe I'm the best candidate for the job. I've got 31 years of experience working at United Airlines, where it's taught me leadership skills, crisis management skills, and most of all, just being able to get along with people, which I think are skills are going to be necessary when I'm on that school board, especially in the current school board. What I'd like to tell people is that my motto is that leadership that listens. And right now what we have is we have a situation in which the citizens of Sarasota don't feel like they're being listened to, and as a result, they do not trust the current school board. When I'm on that school board, I'm going to bring back trust, and I'm going to listen. Listening is key. We have to listen to our students. We have to listen to our teachers. We have to listen to our parents. There was just a survey out that said 70% of the teachers are dissatisfied with their jobs. We cannot have that here in Sarasota. We have to find a way that we are connecting with our teachers. We have to find a way that we're connecting with our students and our parents. We have a number of different resources out here, and we got to make sure that we are utilizing those resources. We cannot continue down this same path. If we want to be the #1 school district here in Florida, change needs to be made right now. Because if we continue down the path that we're headed right now, we will never attain that. I like to end a lot of times with Martin Luther King's book. He had a book called Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community. That book was written 60 years ago. Right now, where are we at in the school district? Chaos. When I'm on that school board, I will bring community back to the school board, and we will be the #1 school district in Florida. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy Glover.
I believe I am the candidate to represent District 1 because I have the experience in the schools. People have been crying out for a parent representative on the school board who has a child in the public schools. I am that person. I have been boots on the ground. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth. I listen. I listen and then I act. I am a person of action. A parent comes to me, I find out an answer. A teacher comes to me, I help them out. I am a person who listens and who acts and will advocate for every single one of you and everyone in this community. I have the trust of the teachers. I have the trust of the parents because they know that I am in it for them. I am not in it for myself or anyone else. I am in it for all of our teachers, our students, our families, our parents, our community. I am here for you because my child is in the public school and I believe they're great and I want to keep them great, and I think I can do that with my experience in the schools. Also, I've been called a uniter. I am not a divided person. I bring people together. I bring people to the table to make it better, to make things work. I will unite the school board. I have met with almost every single school board candidate. And you know, they're not all the same political parties, because that's who I am, because I care more about the students and the teachers and our community than I do about any political party. I will work with everyone. I just want to leave you with my little thing. I say I'm running on a stay. We need safety in our schools. We need to keep the most amazing teachers and pay them what they deserve. I believe that students are not just a single thing, a grade. I believe that academics, athletics, and arts make a well-rounded student, and we need to make sure all of our students have every opportunity they can have. And you, every single one of you here today, because you care. And our community is so involved and all care, so I'm here to listen to you and to support you.
You have been listening to WSLR LP 96.5 FM in Sarasota and WBPV LP 100.1 FM in Bradenton and WSLR News First Candidate Forum this 2026 election cycle. Please give a big round of applause to our three candidates, Heidi Brandt, Jimmy Glover, and Teresa DeWitt. Also, thank you so much to my co-host, Carrie Seidman. I am Johannes, Werner, News Director for WSLR. Mark your agenda for our next candidate forums, July 14th for City Sarasota Commission candidates and July 28th for Sarasota County Commission candidates. For people here in the room, take advantage and catch up with the candidates. They will stay on a little longer. For our listeners, coming up, Blues and Beyond with Roger Young. Stay tuned.